What's up, big dog? What's up, dog? Let me see, have you sign in? There you go. Let me see, have you hit that like button? I'm gonna get on Demond too. Demond ain't been hitting that like. Demond subscribe to everybody but the real deal. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, and you already know. Like, share, and subscribe. What's up, real deal? How y'all doing? I'm gonna get live, y'all. The time enough to get back in here. We got to finish up where we messed up, where we stopped it. Okay. Told y'all I was coming back. Bob, that's the name of. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Stop by the light. Stop it on your way in. Please hit the like button on your way in. Bob, run up, Bob. Let's see. Man, sit down. Y'all come on in now so we can get started. All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead on to get started because y'all know y'all will hear me snoring. And y'all gonna like, who is that? It's me. It's your girl. All right, y'all. Let's get started. We're gonna start where we left out with Ayana's sister. Okay. I'll help you out. Okay. I'll get you started. All right, y'all. Here we go. We're gonna go on and get started, okay? I hate not to get started with my people, but I gotta go. This young girl on the stand is Ayana's sister. And what we left out at, she was talking about what happened to her sister with her uncle. Okay, her uncle impregnated her, okay, but he also allegedly killed her too. So this is her sister was 14 when this happened, but she's 19 now, and Ayana was 15, and she would have been 21 today. All right, here we go.
What color is it?
It's red.
Now, would the defendant drive both of these vehicles?
Yes.
And would the defendant, on occasion, take or pick up you and your sister from Terry Parker?
Yes.
Also, during the 2018, which would have gone into the 2019 school year, did the defendant's son from another relationship come and live with him and your aunt?
Yes.
And what was that son's name?
Jacob.
Was it Quiles' last name?
Yes.
And was he the same age as you or IS?
Yes.
And did he also go to Terry Parker High School?
Yes, ma'am.
And was there occasion that when he would take the two of you or also his son in that red van to Terry Parker High School?
Yes.
It's going to show you a couple other photographs here.
Okay.
Of State's Evidence 21.
Hold on, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna start right there. I was gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna give you time. It's going, but I'm waiting on it to come up. I want to start from right here. Wait a minute. Who is he? Oh, Minnie. Hold on, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna wait until she come on right here. Y'all, I believe that those girls, for them to be like that, and they going from houses to houses to spend the night, some ain't right. Some don't happen before to me, to both of them. Because they ain't over their grandmama house, they over to the auntie house. It seems like they not protected. They haven't been protected. That's the way I see the picture. That they don't want to be at home because they're going to feel like they protected. Something happened to them girls to make them be active like that. That's the way I see it. Because this girl about to cry. It don't seem like she should be about to cry because he's sitting over there. Jonathan's sitting over there. It don't look like she should be about to cry for him sitting over there. It seemed like her family. It's something about her family. Seemed like them kids be threatened. It's some ain't right, y'all. I'm telling y'all, some ain't right with this. Especially when it comes down to girls.
Trained in narcotic detection,
Let me start right
cadaver
here.
detection, and also patrol, which includes tracking, building searches, and that kind of thing.
And what was your K-9 unit's name in 2018?
His official name is Zorba 2, but we called him Knox.
And would you spell Knox?
N-A-U-X.
Was there something special about a K-9 unit that is cross-trained, as you just mentioned?
Well, I believe at this time we were the only one in the state of Florida that was cross-trained.
All right. In both the areas of narcotics as well as cadaver scent.
That is correct.
All right. Will you explain briefly how your dog is trained sort of separately and what his alert signals are?
Well, his alert signal for narcotics was to sit and stare at the point that he smelled the narcotics the hardest. For cadaver, he would lay down because normally a cadaver is close to the ground or under it. His alert was to lay down and look at the ground, then look at me.
Wow.
All right. And how long was K-9 Knox your partner?
Roughly for 5 or 6 years. I actually achieved him after he was with 2 other handlers that did not work out.
Right. When you retired, did Knox retire?
They allowed him to retire with me.
Now, directing your attention, officer, back to December of 2018, leading into January of 2019, were you employed, as you've stated, at that time with the Ocala Police Department?
Yes, I was.
Right. were you called upon to assist the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office in a search at the Otis Road landfill, Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida in January of 2019?
Yes, I was.
Did you respond to Jacksonville?
Yes, I did.
Did you do that on several days?
Several days.
And did you do that all at each time with accompanied by Knox?
Yes, I did.
Can you just give the jury a general description of what you were advised you were looking for at the Otis Road landfill?
Well, to the best of my recollection, it was to
Yes.
attempt to locate a possible female that was pregnant that possibly had been murdered.
All right. Now, is there any way to communicate with your dog with respect to what he's scenting, whether it's narcotics or cadaver, or will he do the signal each time he smells either?
Well, basically, he will search for the command that I give him. And I have done this in court before where we have done 2 tests in a courtroom setting. One was a cadaver search and one was a drug search. And he alerted correctly to the drug and correctly to the cadaver search in the courtroom.
And obviously, do those commands differ with respect to what you're giving Knox?
Yes, they do.
All right. And does he always maintain consistency in the commands that you give with respect to what he's scenting for?
Yes, sir. It's because we train a lot for it.
Now, directing your attention to the days, I believe, of January 25, 2019, January 28, 2019, February 4, 2019. Were you at the Otis Road landfill with Knox on those days?
I believe so. I believe those were the days.
All right. Now, with respect to the searches that you were conducting on these days, anytime if he did that Knox alerted on a cadaver smell, did you alert JSO personnel?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall, just sitting here now, how many times that was?
I cannot recall.
Would you agree there was several?
Probably more than likely.
Yes, sir. Now, would you explain to us the quantity or kind of give us an idea of how much cadaver smell needs to be present for Knox to alert?
I train Knox myself with cadaver work. At first, we got the training aids over Arizona, which consisted, when you train the dogs, you have real human body parts that you train with. There is no substitute, in my opinion. The smallest piece that we had, and in lack of better terms, it was chunks of human flesh, is the smallest. Some of the flesh involved bone with it, some tendons, some skin, but as small as, I would say, an orange, and that would be a sliced orange, to as big as an entire foot.
So with respect to his training, he's trained to alert with a substantial smell of human flesh
That's correct.
and or human remains.
That's correct.
Now, would you describe for the jury what if that feint is small, like if you pulled off a Band-Aid off of a human and it was thrown into a dump or trash, would your dog be able to alert on that?
We did not train that way. We did not want to alert to such things as a small Band-Aid. I'm not saying that he would not. I'm saying we did not train that way.
Yes, sir.
I never utilized anything that small for him to alert to.
What about with respect to a faint odor on clothing?
It depends on how long that article of clothing was on a person that was deceased.
Fair enough. Yes, sir. Now, in an area like a landfill, like you experienced on these dates in January, February 2019, would that in any way hinder Knox's ability to scent human decay?
I don't think it would hinder his ability.
He ain't talking about nothing.
It's
I'm gonna skip it out to the girl.
the danger of it all.
gonna stop
if you
it with
will. It seems I can
God, they put me to sleep.
I took in all the daily.
We'll start back
My
with
name
the
is Samaya
sister.
Sawyer.
And what is your date of birth?
September 25th, 2003.
And how old are you today?
I'm 19.
And where do
those
you
years.
generally live?
I'm Jacksonville
And how long have you lived here in Jacksonville?
for 19 years.
Is that your whole life?
Yeah.
And what are you doing for a living?
I'm a student
And what are you studying?
of biomedical science.
And what do you want to do later?
I would like to be a physician.
And where did you graduate high school?
Terry Parker,
And what year?
2022.
And who is your mother?
Kimberly Mobley.
And do you have siblings?
Yes.
You have a sister and two brothers?
Yes.
And is IS your older sister?
Yes.
Only though by a year, is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, actually, we ask you, and is your father Willie Sawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
And does your mother have a big extended family?
Yes.
And are you close to all of your aunts?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you also have some family members in Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that their legal names? I know you don't call them by their legal names, but are they Nancy and Clifford Ware?
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
He watching her.
did your grandma Nancy Ware, did she provide you and IS cell phones?
Yes.
And did your grandma Nancy Ware also provide you an IS in a bank account?
Yes, ma'am.
And would she put, some small money in there for you to have for spending?
Yes, ma'am.
And in fact, does your grandma Nancy Ware do that to this day?
Yes.
And were there occasions where you would visit with your grandparents in Georgia?
Yes.
And would that be during the summer when you were not in school?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, back when IS and you, I would say around the 2017, 2018 timeframe, did the two of you tend to be at the same place?
Yes, ma'am.
How would you have considered your relationship with IS during those 2 years?
Very close.
In fact, even younger, were the two of you always close?
Yes, ma'am.
However, were you also typical close siblings?
Yes.
Meaning you would do normal bickering of sister stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you and IS also tell each other a lot of information that I guess you could maybe call it a secret?
Yes, ma'am.
Things that necessarily you wouldn't want to tell your mom.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in regards to different places that you and or IS would go, where were those locations? Again, I'm just trying to keep your focus to the 2017, 2018 timeframe.
Yes, ma'am. My mom's house, occasionally my father, with my grandma's during the summer, and my Aunt Naomi's house.
And your father, Mr. Sawyer, Willie Sawyer, does he live here in Duval County as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And back in that time frame of 2017 and 2018, were you living off of India Avenue?
Yes, ma'am.
And now you had mentioned Naomi. Is that one of your aunts?
Yes.
Is her last name Mobley, just for record purposes?
Yes, ma'am.
And back in 2017 through 2018, did she have a husband?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was that?
Jonathan Quiles.
And is that how you got to know that individual?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you, though, call that individual outside of courtroom purposes Uncle John?
Yes.
And if you were to see that person again, would you be able to identify that person by something that he's wearing and where located in the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Just take a moment. And Did you see the person that you know to be as Jonathan Quiles?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is he located?
He's sitting on to my right side of the room next to Michelle with glasses on and a ponytail.
And could you tell the color of the shirt, please?
It's white.
You're going to let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
So reflected.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor. So, was there a reason why you particularly would go over to this aunt's home, the Naomi and the defendant's home?
Yes.
And why was that?
Mainly my sister would want to go, and I'll just go with her.
And did your aunt Naomi and then at the time the defendant, being your uncle, did they have children?
Yes.
How many at that time?
1.
And was that a little girl?
Yes.
And are her initials NQ?
Yes, ma'am.
And when I say little, because how old is she today?
She is 8.
So between 5 and 6 years ago, she would have been between the ages of approximately 2 and 3.
Yes.
Now, did your aunt Naomi?
Y'all, I want to know how everybody know Michelle right here, his defense lawyer. How everybody know Michelle? Everybody in their family said Michelle, this lady right here, that's his defense lawyer. I want to know why how all uncomfortable. Even this young lady just said he's sent by Michelle. It's strange how the defense attorney knows everybody good. I wonder if there's somebody Kim person or something.
Mobley, did she work?
Yes.
And would she be gone from the home with a full-time job?
Yes, ma'am.
And then who would be at the home?
The defendant.
That's okay. You can refer to him however you're comfortable, okay? Don't feel like you're forced to say one thing or the other, all right?
Okay.
And when you and your sister would go over to the defendant's home, who would be there?
Him and his daughter.
And then would your aunt arrive after she was done with working?
Yes, ma'am.
And during that time frame, did your aunt also do work with a trucking company?
Yes, ma'am.
And would that, when she had that particular job, would that keep her away also during the night hours?
Yes, ma'am.
And so back in 2017, going through 2018, how old approximately would you have been?
15.
And then in 2017?
14.
And would you have been in middle school and then high school during those two years?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did your mom work full time?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that also why you would go to your aunt Naomi and uncle and in your defendant's home? Is that also for the defendant to watch you?
Yes, ma'am.
And as you got older, though, were you also assisting with watching NQ?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how would you describe your, first of all, to say, generally speaking, your relationship with the defendant at first?
It was okay. It was close.
And based upon your own observations, how at first, and again, this is just beginning, when you're first meeting the defendant, your observations of IS and defendant, did they seem to have a good relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, at some point, did you learn that the relationship between IS and the defendant was not an appropriate one?
Yes, ma'am.
And would IS confide things into you?
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, did you observe things inappropriate between IS and the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
And were those observations made at the defendant's home?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's talk about first, were there two different homes that the defendant and your aunt had during the 2017 to 2018 timeframe?
Yes.
Let's talk about the first one. Was that located at 1503 16th Street.
Yes.
Let me show you a couple photographs here. And it's 1503 East 16th Street here in Duval County.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're looking at States 19A. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And the home that we're looking at to the right, is that the home we're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, majority of the time that you would go see the defendant, is this where they were living?
Yes, ma'am.
During at some point in 2018, that when they moved to the next location off of Trout River Road.
Correct.
Next in states evidence 19B, again, is this the 1503 residence?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this another viewpoint then of the residence in states 19D?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, was this home commonly referred to as the Yellow House?
Yes.
Now, in states evidence 19F, is this one of the entry points to the home?
Yes, ma'am.
And then in states 19H, is this another entry point inside of the home?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, just to go back, at the time that the defendant and your aunt lived here, if we were to go into that first door, what would we see?
Gym equipment, like there was bongos in there, and there was gym equipment and bongos in there, and other like miscellaneous items.
So gym equipment, bongos, and some miscellaneous items. Is that what you're just saying, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
And was there also an opening to go into another portion of the home?
Yes, ma'am. I went into the living room.
And at the time that the defendant and your aunt lived there, can you tell us the layout of that living room?
Yes. The couch would be facing the opening of the dining room, and depending on what time, it was on another couch on the wall going to the hallway or by the door to that room.
Was there also then a dining room, a kitchen, and at the time, one bedroom and one bath?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that entry point that you stated at the time, though, when your family lived there, it was a gym?
Yes.
I'm going to fast forward here a second. So here in states 19L, would this have been the area of the living room?
Yes.
However, when your family lived there, there was two couches.
Yes.
Now, in looking at this picture, where would the couches have been located? And you can actually draw if you take your finger when you, because I know there's two different arrangements. Is that fair to say?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
you tell us what the first arrangement?
The first one was there was a couch here and then one right here.
And then at some point, were the couches also rearranged?
Yes, ma'am.
And here, and when you make sure I get this clear on the record. So there was a couch that was in the middle of the room, and then there was a couch against the wall to the right. Is that what you just drew, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in the second layout of couches, where would they have been?
There's a wall on that side. There was one there and still one here.
So is it fair to say that the couch in the middle stayed as is, and then there was a couch moved to the left side of the room?
Yes, ma'am.
And I know it's a little bit blurry, but if we were to keep going to, let me go back a second. If we were to keep going to the left behind this couch, would we have arrived at these three doors?
Yes, ma'am.
And the door right here, I've drawn which would be the one that's actually facing us, would that have been the bathroom?
Yes, ma'am.
And then again, at the time that your aunt and the defendant lived there, would there have been one bedroom in this location between those doors?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you would go over there, where would you sleep?
In the living room.
Where would IS sleep?
Sometimes in the living room.
And you said sometimes, so where else?
In the bedroom.
Now, when she would sleep in the bedroom, who was home?
The defendant.
What?
IS would sleep in the bedroom with the defendant.
Correct.
What?
Now, let me go ahead and just ask you this, SS, and let's get it out of the way.
Yes.
Was a code name used for the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
What was that code name?
Jose.
So the person that you just described with the white shirt, the hair in the ponytail, wearing the glasses, sitting at counsel table is in fact Jose. Is that right?
Right.
And was that to protect what was happening?
Yes, ma'am.
Not because you wanted to, but IS wanted it.
Correct.
We'll get a little bit more into that. Is this the kitchen area then of 19N of the home?
Yes, ma'am.
Now we draw your attention to 19O. Was there a laundry room?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, can you kind of indicate, and you can use your finger, please, of where that laundry room would be located?
It's right around there.
So would you have to go outside of the home?
Yes, ma'am.
And you circled an area on a second yellow building. Was that yellow building turned into apartments?
Yes.
However, at the end of that apartment unit, down closer to the other side of the home, not the roadway side, there was a laundry room.
Correct.
And again, is this then showing the access to that laundry room? It states 19P,
Yes, ma'am.
19Q, and 19R, and then one more in 19S. Bless you. Would that be the area then of the laundry room?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we had just talked about the fact that you would see your sister when your aunt was not home, sleep in the bed with the defendant. Now, did you also observe other inappropriate things that the defendant did with your sister from your own eyes?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we'll talk about the couch situation last, but tell me about first what you observed through this time frame.
Yes, ma'am. He would grope her in various areas or like kiss her neck or her lips in like an inappropriate way.
So you would see the defendant kiss her lips, being her mouth,
Yes.
and kiss her neck.
Yes.
And then you say grope her.
Yes.
Everyone has a different definition. So what does that mean to you?
To touch inappropriately or in a sexual manner.
And when you say touch, would that be on IS?
Correct.
Would that be the defendant touching IS?
Yes, ma'am.
And where would he touch IS? We know obviously the mouth.
Yeah.
You've told me about the mouth. You told me about the neck.
Her butt, her waist, her chest.
Now, was there a time frame that you saw anything else inappropriate between your sister and the defendant?
Yes.
And where did that occur?
In the living room.
At what we were just looking at here? In states 19L?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, not this furniture, but the furniture of your family?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that would have been at the Yellow House off of 16th Street?
Yes.
Can you please tell us what happened?
Yes. I was on one end of the couch, sleep, and IS and the defendant were on another, having a sexual encounter, and I could hear and feel the couch move.
And so just to be clear, was it dark in the room?
Yes.
Did you ever open your eyes?
No.
Could you hear sounds?
Yes.
Could you hear sounds of more than one person?
Yes.
Could you identify who those individuals were?
Yes, ma'am.
And who were they?
The defendant and IS.
And you had stated there were two couches in there.
Yes.
Were they on the same couch as you or the different couch?
It was like a different section of the couch, yes, ma'am.
And did you hear noises that were inappropriate?
Yes.
And I don't mean to be inappropriate with asking these type of questions. I just want to make sure that I understand you correctly. Would those include moans
Yes.
that a person would make having sexual intercourse?
Yes.
And I believe you stated you felt the couch move.
Yes.
Now, were you aware prior to what happened on this particular day that something inappropriate was happening between IS and the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in relation to the time that your sister went missing and was killed on 12/19/18, when did that situation occur that you overheard and felt?
Roughly a year before.
So if we're in December 2018, would that have been approximately December of 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what IS, besides school, your home, your father, grandparents in Georgia, and the defendant's home, would she go anywhere else?
No, ma'am.
Was your sister a creature of habit?
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of like a homebody?
Yes.
Now, the defendant, I'll talk about, ask you just briefly first. The defendant liked to communicate with you with a certain app.
Yes, ma'am.
And what app was that?
Snapchat.
And did the defendant like to talk to your sister with a certain app?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that?
Snapchat.
Did the defendant ever tell you why he liked to talk to you and IS by Snapchat?
The message is erased.
In fact, did the defendant tell you to not save your messages?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your Snapchat at the time?
I don't remember the handle exactly. Something with my name in it.
Okay. So something with your name in it?
Yeah.
Okay. And in regards to IS, did she have more than one Snapchat account?
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe those were Princess 446 and XS Yana.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to backtrack just a second. In regards to a person by the name of Kamar Humphrey,
Yes, ma'am.
are you aware who that individual is?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that a neighbor?
Yes.
And was that a neighbor that had sex with your sister?
Yes, ma'am.
And did your mom find out about it?
Yes.
And that was in earlier of 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, were you aware that that had happened?
Yes.
Did your sister tell you?
Yes.
After your mom found out about Kamar Humphrey, did your sister see Mr. Humphrey again?
No.
In fact, did Mr. Humphrey stay in the neighborhood?
No.
Can you tell us about that?
After the police report was filed, he moved away shortly after that.
Did your sister ever mention Mr. Kamar Humphrey again?
No.
Did your sister have feelings for Kamar Humphrey?
No.
However, did your sister have feelings for the defendant?
Yes.
Did your sister think that she was in love with the defendant?
Yes.
Now, in the summer of 2018, did you and your sister go and visit your grandparents in Georgia?
Yes.
Would that have been after you finished the 2017 to 2018 school year?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, did you come back, though, to Jacksonville, Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you came back, did you go to a certain birthday party?
Yes.
And whose birthday party?
My grandma, Wendy.
And is that in early of July, I think July 7th?
Correct.
And is that an important time for your family to celebrate?
Yes.
And did you want to be present to that?
Yes.
And what about IS?
Yes.
And were you?
Yes.
And was IS?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, after spending some time in Georgia, did IS come and stay back at y'all's home on India Avenue?
No.
And where did she go?
My Aunt Naomi's home.
And did she stay the night there?
Yes.
And did she stay there for more than one night?
Yes.
Did you go?
Yes.
And did you stay there for more than one night?
Yes, but the second day.
Okay.
The second day.
So what do you mean by the second day?
The first night she went, I didn't go.
Okay. So initially, just make sure I understand. So initially, IS went and stayed the night at the defendant and her aunt, y'all's aunt's home by herself.
Yes.
However, you joined your sister on the second day and night.
Yes.
Now, at some point, did you learn that your sister was pregnant?
Yes.
Do you remember when you learned that she was pregnant in 2018?
Yes.
And when was that?
Late July, early August.
And at the time, would your sister have been 15?
Yes.
And would you have been 14?
Yes.
This would have been before your birthdays, right?
Correct.
And did your sister tell you who was the father of the baby?
Yes.
Who?
The defendant.
Was this upsetting?
Yes.
Was abortion ever discussed?
No.
However, in thinking about that, did the defendant provide IS some pills that can cause abortion?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were those pills?
I'm not sure the correct name, but they were green capsules.
Parsley.
Let me ask you something here. Let me
Parsley
show
don't
you
kill, take no
really
baby out of
quickly.
you. Parsley good for you.
I'm showing you states evidence 18C. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And is this the bedroom that you shared with your sister?
Yes, ma'am.
And was the bed that we see indicated to the left, was that IS's bed?
To the left.
Left of the picture? Here, let me go here. How about that? And say it's 18B. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you indicate whose bed was whose?
This one is IS, and then this one was mine.
Okay. So the bed that's closer to the window with the pink drapery, that would be IS's bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And then your bed would be closest to the entry point of your bedroom towards the right.
Yes.
Now, was something stored in the bedroom that you shared with IS?
Yes.
And were these those pills?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were they stored in the closet in a shoebox? And I'm showing you states 18G. Were those the pills?
Yes.
And they're indicated as parsley and donquay. Do those look familiar to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And were those provided by the defendant?
Yes.
And did the defendant want IS to take these pills?
Yes, ma'am.
And then your understanding of why the defendant wanted IS to take these pills was to prevent having a pregnancy.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in going back and talking about when you found out that your sister was pregnant, did you tell anybody?
No.
Why not?
Wanted to keep the relationship with my sister, and she said she'd eventually tell.
They're not showing
So were
nothing
you
else.
protecting your sister?
Yes.
Did you not want to disclose this horrible secret?
Yes.
How long had you been keeping this horrible secret of IS having a sexual relationship with the defendant?
I believe it was late December of 2018.
I'm sorry. Oh, you meant that's when you finally told?
Yeah.
Do you remember how long, though, leading up to December 2018?
Since.
Let's just say about 2 years or so?
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay.
Wow.
You don't remember the date, do you?
No.
But it was prior to 2018?
Yes.
Because you had talked about that incident in December of 2017.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-mm.
Did you ever tell anybody before December of 2018 who Jose was?
No.
Now, early December of 2018, did your family find out about IS being pregnant?
Yes, ma'am.
However, did your sisters ever tell who the dad was?
No.
Does she still continue to use various names, including Jose?
Yes.
When I say various names, would IS use other names so nobody would find out about the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Had IS made the decision to keep the baby?
Yes.
That's what he didn't want.
Did the defendant want IS to have an abortion?
Yes.
However, was IS adamant that she was not?
Yes.
Now, did your family ask you if you knew?
Yes.
Did you tell the truth at first?
No.
Were you waiting for IS to tell?
Yes.
However, was there accusations against the defendant?
Yes.
Do you need a moment?
I'm okay.
Do you need some water?
I'm okay.
Don't get scared, baby.
And you sure?
I'm okay.
Did your sister go to a doctor appointment and confirm the pregnancy?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
And take a moment.
I'm okay.
Now, on December 19th, 2018, were you at school that day?
Yes.
And did you see your sister at school?
Yes.
Did you speak with your sister outside at the picnic tables?
No.
You were speaking to her at school.
Yes.
Have you had a chance to review any video surveillance from Terry Parker?
Some. Yes.
What about any of times that you talked with your sister?
At the picnic tables.
Okay. So did you speak with her at the picnic tables?
Yes.
Okay. Are you a little bit nervous? Okay, just take your time. Were you having a serious discussion with her?
Yes.
And he just looking at him.
Did your sister tell you that she was going to leave for a few weeks?
Yes.
Did you want her to leave?
No.
In fact, we're using the Christmas holiday to get her not to leave.
Yes.
And when I say leave, do you think she was only going to be gone during the Christmas holiday?
Yes.
Did school matter to your sister?
Yes.
Was she a straight A student?
Yes.
Was she already planning her college career?
Yes.
Did you expect your sister to come back?
Yes.
Where did your sister say that she was going to go?
With my grandmother.
And were you asking her not to go?
Yes.
Did you know that your sister was going to leave school that day?
Yes.
Did you know she was going to leave early?
Yes.
But again, you thought she was going to your grandmother's?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't believe it.
Now, what time does school get out?
2:00.
And did you get out that day at 2?
Yes.
Best of your recollection?
Yes.
And how were you to get home that day?
The school bus.
And did you?
Yes.
Was your sister there?
No.
However, did you let your mom know?
Yeah.
Were you still hoping maybe she hadn't have done it?
Yes.
And was your mom at work?
Yes.
Did you contact her by text or by phone call or how?
Phone.
And did you let her know?
Yes, ma'am.
He
However,
been messing with her
Did
too.
you tell your mom that she was just going away for a couple of weeks to your grandmother's?
No.
And why not?
I wanted to protect my sister.
But did you still want to make sure she was okay?
Yes.
Now, did you try to reach your sister?
Yes.
And how did you try to reach her?
Calling and texting.
Did she respond?
No.
Look at him.
Did you make it home?
Yes.
That time, was the family advised that IS had not got on the school bus with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And did people start to look at her? Look for her.
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, did you even message her to please just contact, let you know she's okay, that everything will be okay?
Yes.
Me
That
too.
return call or text ever happen?
No.
Did you even tell your family at that time who Jose was?
No.
Did you still think your sister would make it back home?
Yes.
At some point, did you find out that your sister was not at your grandmother's house in Georgia?
Yes.
Is that when things started to change for you?
Yes.
And when police were called out, did a Detective Porter talk to you?
Yes.
Did you tell her the complete truth?
No.
Mm.
Did you tell her the truth about who Jose was?
No.
And why? Why not?
I was protecting my sister.
And at this time, are you still only 15 years old yourself?
Yes.
Was it a lot to take in?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you help try to look for her?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever try to talk with the defendant?
No.
And why not?
I'm scared of him.
She's scared of him.
At some point, towards the end of December, did you talk to your mom?
Yeah.
Did you tell your mom finally who Jose was?
Yes.
That it was the defendant?
Yes.
And did you ever tell them at that time that you thought, or that the defendant was the father of your sister's child?
Yes.
Now, I have shown you some items previously regarding Victoria's Secret undergarments. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And did your sister favor that brand?
Yes.
Did she have a lot of it?
Yes.
And did I show you several items that had been found at the landfill?
Yes.
And was there a couple of items that you identified that you felt were your sister's?
Yes.
I think this is where we stopped at. One thing.
I'm showing you state's evidence 42. Just take a moment and look at it. Have you previously looked at this item?
Yes, ma'am.
And did this item look familiar to you?
Yes.
And how?
My sister.
Oh, sorry. Here, I'll get up so you can talk to the microphone.
My sister had it.
Now, normally, what size was your sister?
Small or medium.
And did you look at the size of this item in states 42 when we met?
Yes.
And what size was it?
A large.
And did I ask you about that?
Yes.
And would your sister ever wear a large?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
If they didn't have her size and she really wanted it, she would size up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about the time that she was also pregnant?
She would pull them over her stomach.
Now, I'm showing you states 44. Do you recognize states 44?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your sister have a pink bra like this from Victoria's Secret?
Yes.
Now, after the items were collected from your bedroom, were you also asked to give your DNA sample?
Yes.
And did you do that with Detective Abbott?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just going to show you a couple of other pictures really quickly, not many, from State's Evidence 17. Now, in State's Evidence 17, do you recognize it?
Yes.
And is this the Trout River Road residence that the defendant and your aunt lived in at the time of December 2018?
Yes.
Now, we see two vehicles. Do you recognize those vehicles?
Yes.
Can you tell me about the black vehicle first?
Yes, it was the defendant's personal car.
And is that like looks like a black Dodge type vehicle?
Yes.
Now, the other vehicle, we don't have the best look yet, but do you recognize it?
Yes.
And can you tell us about that?
It was their shared family car. It's a van.
What color is it?
It's red.
Now, would the defendant drive both of these vehicles?
Yes.
And would the defendant, on occasion, take or pick up you and your sister from Terry Parker?
Yes.
Also, during the 2018, which would have gone into the 2019 school year, did the defendant's son from another relationship come and live with him and your aunt?
Yes.
And what was that son's name?
Jacob.
Was it Quiles' last name?
Yes.
And was he the same age as you or IS?
Yes.
And did he also go to Terry Parker High School?
Yes, ma'am.
And was there occasion that when he would take the two of you or also his son in that red van to Terry Parker High School?
Yes.
What? So he was taking the boy who liked her to school, and he
I'm going to
liked
show you
her.
a couple other photographs here.
He a mess.
From State's Evidence 21C, do you recognize it?
Yes.
Is this the defendant's red van?
Yes.
Just as a closer view than what we saw, obviously, sitting at the property of the defendant's home at the time.
Yes.
And again, is that the same red van in State's 21B?
Yes.
Now, when you would ride with the defendant, where would you normally sit at?
In the third row.
The third row?
Yes.
And what about your sister IS?
In the second row.
And would there also be a car seat for NQ?
Yes.
What row would that be?
Second row.
Would that be behind the driver or the passenger side?
Primarily behind the passenger.
Okay. Now, was your sister due in February? April of 2019. I apologize.
Yes.
Now, during this time frame of December 2018, actually other portions of 2018, but specifically December of 2018, was someone else pregnant?
Yes.
Who?
My Aunt Naomi.
So your sister and your aunt were pregnant by the defendant at the same time?
Yes.
Wow.
And did your aunt have her second child with the defendant?
Yes.
And was it a son?
Yes.
And when was he born?
I believe it's
You don't know the exact date. What about month?
February of 2019.
Which would have been 2 months before your sister was due?
Yes.
And during that time frame, did your aunt also be on bed rest?
Yes.
And would she stay in the bed during the totality of the day?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Real life.
Now, when you were looking for your sister, did you also reach out to her friends?
Yes.
Did your sister have a close-knit group of friends?
Yes.
Would that include Albertha Vey, Sabria Payton, Marie Logan, Haley Shimpert?
Yes.
And did you reach out to them?
Yes.
Had any of them heard from your sister?
No.
Were you, though, provided a potential person by the name of Brandon and like with a number and a picture?
Yes.
I think you had talked about it with Albertha Vey.
Yes.
He just looking at her. Don't look at him, baby.
I'm showing you Defense Exhibit 1 that's been marked in evidence. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
Now, is this including a picture and a phone number that had been discussed between you and Albertha Vey?
Yes.
Do you know this person?
No.
Have you ever seen this person's picture before?
No.
Were you ever able to talk to this person by this phone number?
No.
We want to see. Come on now. What's going on? What's she doing? That's too much time now.
No further questions, Your Honor.
What? Girl, you something else. You should have been said that. Here come Michelle.
Police court. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for being here. I just have some questions to follow up with you. I know it's late in the day, so hopefully we can get through this as quickly as possible and everybody can go home after that. But I do think it's important that we talk, and so I want to ask you these questions, so if you could give me your attention, I appreciate it. All right. I want to start with the visits that you would do at your Aunt Naomi's house. When you would go over there, it wouldn't just be you. It wouldn't just be IS. You would also go over there from time to time with all of your siblings, correct?
Occasionally, yes.
Now, sometimes you would go there just yourself to babysit and things like that, correct?
Yes.
And IS and you would go there together as well.
Yes.
And there were occasions, I think you said there was one occasion after you came back from visiting your grandmother in the summer of 2018 where IS went over there by herself.
Yes.
When you all would go over there, you said that at some point it was Jonathan Quiles who lived there, your Aunt Naomi, their daughter, and Q, and then into the 2018 school year, his son, Jacob, also lived there, correct?
Yes.
When you would visit, all of those people would be there.
Occasionally.
Was there ever a time when it was just Jonathan Quiles and no children in the house?
Yes.
When
Wow.
you went to Mr. Quiles' home and your Aunt Naomi's home, was that primarily the time when you would see what you would classify as inappropriate behavior between him being Jonathan Quiles and your sister IS?
Yes.
Did you see that type of behavior anywhere else except for outside of that house?
Yes.
Where else did you see it?
We'd be in the car, sometimes at family events.
What?
Family events were
other people around, you are saying that you also saw other inappropriate behavior.
Yes.
Okay. And would that be the similar things that you described earlier, which I believe you said, and just correct me if I'm wrong, that you saw him groping her, and you described groping as grabbing her around the waist, maybe the buttocks, and then on the chest?
Close to it. Yes.
Okay. And do you recall that a deposition that you gave in June of this year?
Some things, yes.
Okay. Do you remember you and I questioned you during that time period? Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. In June of 2023, just a few months ago, do you recall telling me that?
Your Honor, I would object to proper impeachment.
Sustained.
Ma'am, could you tell me, is the only areas that you ever recall him groping her in around the waist, the buttocks, or in the chest?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever at any time say anything differently than that?
The mouth.
Now, you
Yeah.
said that you saw him kiss her on the mouth as well, correct?
Yes.
Was there anywhere else that you saw him kiss her?
On the chest, I guess. Inappropriate.
On the chest, meaning on her breast area or on her neck?
Neck.
Come on, girl, tell the
You
truth.
said you saw, I think you said at one point that you recall them having sex from time to time.
Yes.
Okay. Was that something that you actually saw yourself, or is that something that you were told by your sister?
Some of them were told.
Some of them were told. Did you actually ever see IS and Jonathan Quiles having sex?
No.
That-
Well, you
Now, you
lied.
told us about one occasion where you said that you were on a couch, correct?
Correct.
You were
Yeah.
on the same couch,
Yes.
and you never opened your eyes. How are you certain that it was Jonathan Quiles, that was that person having sex with IS?
I'm an adult. You're an adult. I'm just as an adult now and as a child then who have been through it myself. I know the distinct sounds of moaning and.
Did y'all hear what she said? Did y'all hear what that baby said? I've been through that myself. That's what she just said. After being through that myself. Told y'all something don't happen. And then she said that she saw them when she was on the other sofa, on the half sofa. Now she changing her mind. She got to tell the truth, man. This girl got to tell the truth. Come on, girl. Be like DL. She's saying too much.
Okay, and maybe I wasn't clear. How did you know that that was Jonathan Quiles?
I can recognize his voice.
Okay, so you heard him speaking during that time period.
No, I heard him moaning.
Heard moaning.
Yes.
You identified that moaning as having come from him.
Yes.
Now, this occasion you said was about a year or more before IS went missing, correct?
Yes.
You never told anybody about that happening, though.
No.
Okay. In fact, you never mentioned this incident in the couch until June of this year.
That I can recall. Yes.
You never mentioned that to anybody in almost 4.5 years, more than 4.5 years since your sister IS went missing.
That I can recall.
Yeah. I hear attitude. I hear attitude coming in. Is it vice versa? Or is it both of them? Or what? She's getting upset.
That you can recall, you never mentioned that before.
Yes.
June of 2023, you decided that that's when you would reveal that information.
Yes.
She getting upset.
Now, the sexual relationship that you've described and told this jury about, you say went on for years, maybe 2 years.
Yes.
You never mentioned that whatsoever to anybody before IS went missing, correct?
No.
You, in fact, didn't even mention it after IS went missing until more than a week later, correct?
Correct.
Almost 2 weeks after she goes missing, then you finally reveal that information.
Correct.
I hope she didn't end
And
up
if I'm
liking
not
them
even
to
mistaken,
get.
you were questioned by police immediately after your sister went missing, and you denied there being anything like that going on, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, let me ask y'all something. Is he setting her up? I believe they got rid of Ayana because she want him. It's no way in the world she could say she was protecting her sister and she didn't protect her sister. I wondered that she was gonna end up. He used psychology on her too, and they had to get rid of Ayana so them two can be together. Something ain't right with this case right here. Something ain't right.
I know you might not recall the exact date, but was it after Christmas that you began to reveal this information that you knew about IS and Jonathan Quiles?
Maybe around that time. Yes.
And do you recall a time period when your mom, Kimberly Mobley, was making every effort she could possibly make to try and find out where IS was?
Yes.
Do you remember the time during that time period when she was looking and wanting IS to be on the news and broadcast about her being missing?
Yes.
Do you recall that time period that your mom was quite upset that IS was not being placed on the news and broadcast as being missing?
Yes.
Do you recall her speaking to an officer about that specifically?
Yes.
Do you also recall that immediately after that is when you decided to reveal that there was a sexual relationship between Jonathan Quiles and your sister?
Correct.
Do you recall that your mom was told that because there was no foul play going on in this case, they would not put her in the news media?
No.
Do you recall being told that because she was simply listed as a runaway, they could not put her in the news media?
I do not.
I want to talk about these code names. You stated, and I'm going to ask you about Jose, but do you recall telling me during a deposition that you would use the code name Eugene?
Not that I can recall.
Was Eugene a name that IS would use as a code name?
Yes.
Was that code name used for Jonathan Quiles?
Yes.
That code name of Eugene, is that a code name you ever told anybody about prior to June of this year, more than 4.5 years after your sister went missing?
That I can recall. I don't know.
You never told anybody that before June of this year?
Not that I can recall.
As to Jose, you never told anybody about Jose being Jonathan Quiles until this same time period where you decided to reveal this information, more than a week, almost 2 weeks after your sister went missing.
Correct.
All right, so that week, or almost 2 weeks, you all are searching for where IS might be, correct?
Yes.
You're contacting her friends.
Yes.
You are sending leads to friends and family and trying to get people to find out where she might be.
Yes.
But you knew the entire time that she had plans to go to your grandma's,
See?
correct?
To my grandmother, yes.
And that's your grandmother in Georgia, right?
Yes.
Okay. You knew that the day she went missing.
Yes.
She told you that in that conversation by the picnic table.
Yes.
You told her, don't go.
Yes.
You never revealed that to anybody, that that's the conversation that you guys had until 4 months after your sister went missing.
Talk, girl.
That's correct.
In fact, you were asked about that conversation at the picnic table many times by police, by your family, and you said over and over again, it was about nothing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
He made her
But
lie.
In fact, she told you that she was going to her grandma's,
Correct.
and you didn't think that that was important.
I don't like this. I don't like what she doing because he manipulated her. He did that. He got that little girl doing this. He got her scared. He got her lying. She doing what he told her to do. Now he making her look crazy in court. I don't like this. She was lying the whole time because she was protecting both of them and her sister. And he knows this. That's why he was sitting over there writing. That prosecutor need to say something.
Anybody for nearly 4 months.
Tell on them.
Let me ask you something. Did your mom tell you to say that Jose was Jonathan Quiles?
Absolutely not.
Were you forced to say that Jose was Jonathan Quiles?
Absolutely not.
Did you all talk about doing that because you needed there to be foul play in this case for it to get the news media involved?
Absolutely not.
Wow. Whew.
You want us to believe that Jose is Jonathan Quiles. There was this sexual relationship going on for years, that IS went missing, and you never said anything about that until almost 2 weeks after she was gone. That's what you want us to believe.
Correct.
Let me ask you about Kamar Humphrey. You knew IS had been caught with the young man that lives across the street, Kamar Humphrey, correct?
Correct.
You knew who he was, but you all had never really had any kind of significant interactions.
Correct.
You didn't know that IS and Kamar Humphrey had been in a sexual relationship for months, did you?
I knew about them, yes.
So you knew that they had been in a relationship for months?
Not a relationship for months, but I knew about an encounter they had, yes.
And according to you at that time, that was just that one encounter that she got caught for, correct?
Correct.
So you did not know that there had been a sexual relationship going on for months.
I still don't know if there's a sexual relationship for months.
She didn't give you any details about that relationship at all, correct?
No.
All right, let me talk to you about some of the items that were found in a landfill. You said that your sister's size was a small.
Yes.
Maybe a medium.
Yes.
In February of 2018, it's been said that that's the time period that those underwear were purchased. Do you know that those were a gift from your aunt to your sister?
I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, you're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you recall that at all?
I don't recall.
Yeah. I wonder, have the mama ever fooled with that boy, that man? I wonder, had the mother ever been with him? I really do. I'm feeling a vibe in here with the mama. I wonder, had the mother been with that man right there at that table with Jonathan? And they hiding something. They hiding it. They hiding it. It's nowhere in the world that girl probably she an honor student. She active like she going on. It's something going on with that mother. I wonder, have she and Jonathan ever been together? Because she's too quiet in this. The mama too quiet in this. I wonder, was they forced to do this? It's not right. Y'all, can these girls, they were close. And she wasn't protecting her sister. What her name? Ayana. Is not good for her sister to be around like that. Her sister shouldn't be seeing what her sister doing. How is she protecting her sister and she not doing anything? She can't protect her sister. Something ain't right in this case, y'all. I wonder, is it the mother and Jonathan? And some jealousy went on because they end up buying the same secret, what y'all call it? Victoria's Secret. All three of them, the mama, Ayana, and the auntie. Some ain't right. Some ain't right in this. I'm telling y'all.
In February of 2018, when those underwear were purchased, was your sister pregnant at that time?
No.
That would have been about 5 months before she got pregnant, correct?
Correct.
So her size at that time would have been a small.
Yep.
Correct.
It would be abnormal to upsize to a large in February of 2018, correct?
No.
What?
Do you upsize your underwear?
If I want it, yes.
Have you ever purchased a large underwear for IS
No.
as a gift or anything like that?
No.
If you were going to go buy her a gift, you'd buy her a small.
I don't buy her underwear.
All right, I want to talk to you about the day that IS went missing. You brought out, the state showed you a photograph of a phone number attached to a person that you didn't really know, correct?
Correct.
Is that true that person's name was something like Brandon or Brian?
To my knowledge,
That's the name that you understood was that person on that phone number.
yes.
Okay, did you try to track that person down?
I believe so, yeah.
Did you actually ask Albertha to track that person down for you?
I believe so, yeah.
And was it Albertha who was making the phone calls trying to reach that person?
I believe so.
And was the reason why you were doing that because you believed IS had been in contact with that phone number?
No, I was just following up on any leads.
You were following up on any leads
Yes.
that were related to IS being missing, correct?
Correct.
Talk. Talk, honey. You got to tell the truth.
Let me ask you this. You talked about some inappropriate things you witnessed. Were any of your siblings around during those time periods?
Maybe sometimes.
Okay. Were some of Jonathan Quiles' children around during those time periods?
Yes.
Okay. So if they have never seen anything like that, you'd be the only one who could testify to that.
Your objection is speculation regarding what others have seen.
When you were around, would they also have been in the same position as you were to observe these inappropriate actions that you are saying?
Again, objection, speculation.
Overall.
You can answer.
Not that I would know.
Okay. Would they be in the same area as you to be able to observe that?
Yes, but their sight wouldn't be on the same thing I could be looking at, so I wouldn't know.
So in this scenario that you're talking about, they could be in the same room as you, but they're not paying attention.
Correct.
Okay, so you might see it, but 3 other people could be in the room and they wouldn't see it.
Also children.
How old? You said his son Jacob was your age or IS's age, correct? He would be there as well, correct?
Sometimes.
Okay, so if he didn't observe anything, if he's in the same position as you just noticed it and they didn't.
Again, objection, argument.
That's speculation.
Overall.
You can answer.
I wouldn't know.
Just a moment.
Something going on, y'all. I believe
I
he
want to
be
ask you about the pills, please. Those pills were, well, let me start back. You and your sister IS shared a bedroom, correct?
Correct.
And in that bedroom, you guys had you had 2 beds in the room that you each had your own bed, correct?
Correct.
But then you all shared a closet,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
All right. In that closet, there was an Adidas box in the top right-hand corner of your closet that we saw a photograph of, and some Donquay pills and parsley pills were found inside, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Were you the one to locate those pills?
No.
It was your mom who found them?
Yes.
As far as those pills, that was in April of 2019, correct? Can you recall? It wasn't immediately after IS went missing.
I can't recall around when.
That information didn't come from you though at all.
Not that I know of.
it was your mom who was searching through the room and found them.
Yes.
And that was months after, as best you can recall, months after IS went missing.
I don't know about months, but I'm not sure of the time.
And again, you never mentioned those pills being used or being given to anybody, correct? Prior to them being found by your mom.
I don't recall.
As far as how those pills arrived at your home, you don't know how they got to your house.
Don't recall. I don't know.
You do not know.
No.
So
See,
you don't know who gave those pills to, if it was your sister or wherever.
I know where they come from. Yes. I don't know how they got in my house.
where it
When you
comes
say
from.
you know where they came from,
Yeah.
that's just based off of what your sister might have said to you, correct?
And personal experience, yes.
And again, that's not something that you provided information to police about or anything like that. That was found by your mom.
That I can recall.
See, y'all, I'm gonna tell you something. See, the sister is so used to lying so much to the family. She don't even know when she telling the truth. Only person she tells the truth to is her sister. She and her sister share the truth. They don't share the truth with nobody else. And so what she doing now is not telling the truth. She don't know how to tell the truth to people because she's so used to lying. She used to lying. She throwing everything off because she know where them pills come from. Because she know all the secret between her sister and Jonathan. But she's keeping secrets because that's all she know how to do is keep secrets. So we don't know when to trust her now. We don't know. She know everything that her sister got. Everything for her sister, she knew about it. And right now, she's still staying with her sister. Even though her sister is not here, she still stand by her sister mentally by lying to what she say. That girl needs some help, y'all. She gonna need some help. What's going on?
Nothing further.
What?
Did your brothers go often to the defendant's home?
No. No.
Did your brothers often go to their father's home?
Not really. Well, one, but not really the other one.
And would the other one then stay with your mom?
Yes.
So is it fair to say that it was you and your sister mainly that would go to the defendant's home?
Yes.
Now, as you started to get older, did you go less, though, to the defendant's home?
Yes.
However, did IS continue to frequent the defendant's home?
Yes.
And I had and also to the defendant's older son that we talked about, I believe you said his name was Jaco.
Yes.
He didn't start living with the defendant until later on in 2018. Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
So he was not living there half of 2018 and then 2017, was he?
No.
And did IS actually have a relationship with Kamar Humphrey?
No.
Was this a very short period of time
Yes.
that you're aware of?
Yes, ma'am.
And did your sister have sex with Kamar Humphrey to get back at the defendant?
Correct.
He
And
may
when
be
your sister was gone, you didn't believe at that time she was actually murdered, did you?
Correct.
And ultimately, you just want to protect her?
Yes.
No further questions.
Ma'am, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
wow. She did good, but she just so used to lying. You don't know when she Tell the truth.
We have another question. No further witnesses for today.
You sure?
That's all we have. I know you wanted to do another short one, but that's all I advise for otherwise.
No, we're good.
Yes, sir.
We're good. Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Members of the jury, appreciate your time and attention today. We're going to obviously end at this point for the day. It's been a long week for you guys, long week for the attorneys and the staff. Certainly want to certainly send our appreciation to you guys for what you guys have done this week. The instructions I've given you Monday throughout the rest of the week still remain in place. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or each other. Do not talk to family or friends about the case. I would anticipate this case. I would anticipate. I suggest you stay away from any newspapers and media. Even if
Okay, y'all, we're gonna go in to the end of day 3 because we skipped it. We skipped day 3, so we're gonna. That right there was some powerful talking there, baby. Let me see that right there. We're gonna go to the end of day 3. Day 3. Day 3, we're gonna go to the end where he work at. Y'all, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about what just happened, what we just heard. I don't know whether to believe that girl or not. I don't know. I think she lying. She gets me. She always been a liar, so why wouldn't she be a liar? I don't know. Hold on, y'all. I don't understand this. I really don't. Okay, we on day
You arm
3.
your company with the most powerful server hardware you
I don't know what to say. I'm just so. This. Hold on, y'all. Okay.
With the Jacksonville
Hold
2.
on. Before we get into day 3 on the part that we missed, yeah, she holding secrets. She's still holding secrets. That's what I'm saying. She holding secrets because that's what she used to doing. She always holds secrets. She and her sister. So she don't know how to come out and tell the truth. Because she don't know how to do it. She ain't never did. Only time she'll tell the truth is to her sister. That's what we going through right now with her. We don't know whether to believe her or not. Because she not I ain't gonna say lied. She just don't she's still protecting her sister. She's still protecting her sister. She's gonna have some. She gonna have some, and then she gonna say, "Well, I'm 19 now, so I'm not a kid." Then see, they so grown for some reason. They so grown. She said it happened to her before. I'm still got to go back and figure out what she mean by that.
Under A for the time zone, which I know Georgia and Florida are the same time zone.
Correct. It would be based off of Jacksonville and the subscriber's location.
Thank you, sir, for that clarification. So, and going back to column C, where we see the same phone numbers associated with this information, but like you were saying just a moment, Mr. Knitch, that we have a 119. I believe you stated that's associated with a voicemail.
That is correct.
Does that mean that the voicemail is being generated by Verizon Network?
This record is showing in section D a forwarding indicator, which means the call never actually rang to a phone and went straight to the voicemail platform.
Okay, so just in plain simple terms, 119 indicates that it's a voicemail that did not go through, therefore there's an in-house response.
That is correct. And if you go to the other columns, G, H, I, J, all being 0, that's another indication to show that it never like ended up on a cell tower to locate the cell phone. The phone was unavailable.
Thank you, sir. Next, I'm going to direct your attention to the text message detail, just here at the bottom. I'm going to do the same in regards to getting our spacing so we can understand these numbers better. And I am just right-clicking in between the columns for record purposes. I think that's okay. So in regards to now the text message details, we can see that, so let's start at the top so we can understand. What does the MDN stand for?
The mobile directory number.
All right. And then I'm going to draw your attention to the message. It appears we can see an MO and an MT. Can we please just start with the MO and what that means, sir?
MO is mobile origination. So that means the cell phone would have originated our subscriber, the 904-293-5139, would have placed the text message outbound.
And let's get to that to clarify that a little bit more. Based upon the fact, let's talk about row 2 here, where we see the destination address. Is that a 9.00008E plus 11? Is that what it states, sir?
It does.
Now, because that is not an actual phone number, does that mean then that MO was generated in-house by Verizon?
That is correct.
And is Verizon trying to notify the user of 904-293-5139? Hello, you have messages waiting for you.
That is what that number means. There's quite a few different messages Verizon would send out, but one of those messages would be trying to ping back to the phone.
And so is it fair to say, for example, and we'll go, I believe there's 6 total, starting with column 4, that on column 4, we actually see another phone number in the destination address. It's 904-450-0955. When there is a phone number involved in G and H, is it fair to say that that message actually went through?
That is correct.
And I believe that says 9:08 a.m. Would that be accurate on 12/19/2018?
That is correct.
And I believe that would be the last time. Let's see, because in column 6 at 9:07 a.m. Be fair to say that was an actual message that also was delivered. It looks like that would have originated from 904-293-5139. The actual subscriber of this number would have sent a message at 9:07 a.m. and it was received. Is that fair to say?
That is correct. Yes, that is correct.
And if we go down again to line 11, did the 904-450-0955 send a message at 8:26 a.m. and it was in fact received?
That is correct.
So and then again on line 16, we have a 9:07 a.m. message where it commenced. Yep, you can draw. Yep, no problem. It's making it easier, huh, with staring a bunch of numbers, right, Mr. Knitt?
Yes, it does.
And it appears that the 904-450-0955 is sent a message again to the subscriber of these records. And it was actually received.
That is correct.
I believe we've discussed 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep going down. Here, I'll get with your red too. A little bit off. Then in column 29, is it fair to say that this message went through at 8:55 a.m. and it was sent by 904-450-0955 and 904-293, our subscriber actually received that message.
That is correct.
I believe there's one more. Yep, no, two more. Going down, so yes, two more. And there was one at 8:43 a.m. in column 33, where again the 904-450-0955 sent a message to our subscriber of these records, and it was actually received. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
And then our last verified communication, would that have been, and obviously it would be earlier on from the other records, would that have been at 8:26 a.m. in column 41, and that would have been sent by the actual subscriber to that same phone number that we've been indicating, the 450-0955.
That is correct.
So if we go back up to the column 3 at 9:08 a.m., is it fair to say that this was the last human-generated message between these two accounts?
That is correct.
So the other indications that do not have a phone number, those would have been Verizon-generated messages.
That is correct.
And lastly, sir, I'm going to draw your attention to the call logs. Now, in looking at these records, and I'm just going to scan them down just for a moment. You can observe all of them. That's part of this record. Count is 1604 for record purposes. We'll scroll back up. And that bottom date, is that 12/31/2018, Mr. Knitch?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir. Now, going back up, these call log records commence on 12/19/2018.
Repeat the question.
Do these call log records commence on December 19th, 2018?
They end connecting to the device with those top two, correct?
And do our records start on the 12/19/2018 date?
That is correct.
And based upon review of these call log records under this tab of the Excel, is it fair to say that only 2 calls were actually made and received from one person to another?
That is correct.
And based upon the fact that in column B, with those 2 calls under row 2 and 3 have been respectively at 7:02:34 a.m. and 7:05:18 a.m.
That is correct.
And based upon these records, there is no further phone activity after December 19th, 2018. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
Wow. That's their text message, y'all.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Wow. Last time they talked, December 19th, 2018. Wow. She gone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
So just want to clarify a few things if we could, okay? You testified on direct that these cell sites go by, they basically collect the cell data of the general location of where they are, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, the location is not necessarily determined by exactly where they are, but to be clear, it's kind of like a triangulation of different cell towers, and it's the first available one that has access and availability to pick up the call. Would that be accurate?
There's several factors of why the first cell tower would pick up the call. That would be one of them.
Okay, what are the others?
Proximity, network traffic. So network traffic, if one cell tower is busier than another cell phone tower, it will offload to the next closest. It's still going to keep them in a general proximity, not several miles away, but still within a proximity of the subscriber.
Right, and it's done by a triangulation of towers to determine which one's closest and available. Would that be accurate?
Through network management practices, Verizon has a way of allowing the call to be sent and received.
Okay. Now, you had talked about it's able to track whether or not it's pinging off of a tower or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, if it goes dead, that doesn't mean that, meaning it's not receiving a signal. That doesn't mean that the person necessarily turned it off. The battery could have died. Any number of factors could have contributed to that. Would that be accurate?
The phone being powered off, yes.
Okay. And you were showing all those phone records. If somebody takes a SIM card out, that will also affect it. Wouldn't that be accurate?
That is correct.
Okay. So they could still be using the same phone and put a new SIM card in it and be on their way, and it would recognize it under something different. Wouldn't that be true?
In theory.
In theory?
I mean, anything is possible with taking and switching SIM cards.
Okay. And so if somebody doesn't want to be tracked, then all they got to do is switch out a SIM card, or, for lack of better words, go up to the local store and get a burner phone, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So the fact that the last time that that phone number received a call or sent a call is just indicative of that's the last time that phone received anything, right?
That was the last Verizon wireless record for that subscriber, correct?
Okay. Ma'am, just a second. Help me further here.
Why they not walking? They like all of them in
No further
wheelchairs.
questions, Your Honor.
Sir, good to see you. Have a good rest of your day. Counsel, can I see one representative at sidebar regarding scheduling without the court reporter?
Everybody rolling around. I don't see nobody walking. I don't see nobody walking. Help me, Jesus. What y'all bet they're talking about now? They talking about. Let me skip it, y'all. Wait a minute. What they got on? Because that thing ain't another thing right there. Oh, Lord. What he about to talk about?
Sir, good afternoon to you. You need a glass of water, let us know. We'll do our best to accommodate you. If there's an objection made during the course of your testimony, I just ask that you pause and rule the objection.
What is you talking about, too,
Mr.
Black?
Skinner, floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
State your name, please.
Sure, Detective H.M. Quintana,
And can you spell your last name?
Quintana.
Yes, sir. What's your occupation, sir?
I'm a detective with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Computer Forensics Unit.
All right. And how long have you worked in that unit?
Going on 8 years.
And what are the general duties of a detective in the computer forensic unit?
We process electronic devices from different units, such as homicide, robbery, what have you, when they require that evidence be extracted from digital devices, they bring them to us and we extract the data from those devices in a forensically sound manner. Therefore, none of the data is ever altered before, during, or after our processing.
Yes, sir. How long have you worked in total with JSO, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office?
Going on 18 years.
The computer forensic unit. Or items of evidence, devices, laptops, phones, computers assigned to you to extract data from them?
Yes.
Is that done at the direction of either a homicide detective or some other unit's detective?
Yes, they're delivered to a unit by, say, a homicide unit or a robbery unit, and they are assigned to various of us detectives or.
And where's your office located?
We have an
Shelly,
offsite
you
office.
All right. And is it secure?
Yes.
Shelly, you are either Big Dog, go over there on my other channel and monitor that channel for me. I got a live going on. One of y'all go over there, one of y'all stay over here.
Do you do your work there and your extraction of data there?
Correct.
Please.
And do you use a program in particular with respect to cell phones called Cellbrite?
Yes.
Can you describe that briefly?
Sure. Celebrite is a vendor that also, we call the device itself and software Celebrite. And it's software and hardware utilized. Let's say an example, we receive a cell phone. We connect the cell phone to that device, software, hardware, and it forensically extracts the data from that phone to the computer.
Right. Is one of the purposes in extracting that data for preservation, preserve the data?
Yes, sir, it is.
Were you, in this case, in the state of Florida versus Jonathan Quiles, provided an iPhone 6A1549 attributed to Jonathan Quiles?
Don't never say that. Spit by me.
My name is Steven.
Don't never.
I hope you're all having a
Don't say them. Don't do
I want
that.
to tell you a little about my history.
Web, one of the partners, extract the data from that particular cell phone in this case?
Yes.
Did you do the extraction of the data
Go
from
over
that
there,
particular
Big Dog.
phone with the program of Cellbrite?
Yes.
Did you do this at the request of lead detective Billy Abbott?
Yes.
Now, when you extract that data, does it include all data, for example, text messages, call logs, email, any and all data on a phone?
Yes.
Is that what's commonly referred to in your world, a cell phone dump?
Yes.
All right. Now, when the data is put into extracted by Cellbrite, is it put into a more reader-friendly format? And if so, can you explain that?
Yes. Well, the data is extracted from the device. Obviously, if you look at a device, it's a lot of data there. We all have cell phones. So all that raw data is extracted to the computer, and then the software, the Cellbrite software, parses that out. And otherwise, it puts emails in an email folder, text messages in a format where you can view quite easily on one screen. And there, if you needed to review the emails or text messages, what have you, say on the screen, all you have to do is click on it.
All right. And when it is extracted and put into these files, is that so that the lead detective and or whatever detective submits it to your unit, it comes back to them in an organized manner so they can read it?
Yes.
All right. And Detective Abbott will be testifying to some of this later. But just for purposes of the extraction, I want to make sure the record's clear and our jury understands. When it's extracted and put into this particular format, is there any way whatsoever, detective, that this data can be altered, changed, amended, deleted in any way whatsoever during the extraction process?
No, it's not, because the data is received in a read-only format. An example of that is take a phone call. We all make phone calls on a daily basis, and you're speaking to a friend and or loved one, and you put the mute button. So you're still able to hear whatever conversation they're telling you, but any conversation that you may be holding here, they cannot hear. So it's one-way stream. So that's we utilize, it's called write blockers. So it blocks the data from being overwritten. So we only pull that data rawly, and it's prevented from anyone overwriting it.
Okay. So when parcels of data are put into this particular reader format. For example, if you wanted to go review Snapchat messaging, can you do that once you extract the data?
Yes.
Okay. Detective Abbott will talk about that later. With respect to text messages, if you want to review specific text messages from the device, could a future detective be able to review that later?
Yes.
Once they get it, what kind of format is it in physically? Is it on a disk?
Yeah, we provide either on a disc, DVD, Blu-ray, depending on how large the data is, and we'll put it on there for them.
All right. And in this particular case, did you extract all this data and place it in that format and forward it to Detective Billy?
Yes, it's delivered, hand delivered, yes.
All right. And once you reviewed the data and the extraction process was done and it was transferred, did you verify and make sure that nothing whatsoever had been altered, deleted, amended, anything of that nature with respect to the data that was extracted?
Yes.
One moment, Your Honor. Nothing further. Thank you.
Defense.
Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon, sir.
Just a real quick follow-up. You said you did a, for lack of a better word, cell dump on an iPhone 6, right? Do you recall what the phone number was on that? What the state just read to you?
I'm sorry? Yeah, I don't recall what the number exactly is. Yeah.
Okay. All you know is the phone number that he read off to you.
It will, yes.
Okay. And that was at the request of Detective Abbott, right?
Right.
You don't know whose phone number that belongs to, whether it's Jonathan Quiles or somebody else associated with this case?
Well, it will be on the extraction that we provided the detective with. So a lot of times they provide a device owner. It may have the person's name and or email there. So that would be on the actual report that was provided to the detective, and that had not altered or changed.
But you, other than him handing this to you and asking for a cell phone dump, you don't have any idea whose phone number that is, right? Or whose phone that is.
Well, not without looking at the report.
Okay. And as you stated, you can't alter or modify anything related to it, correct?
Right.
I mean, these are basically just, cell phones today are nothing more than a mini computer that we use just like every day on a laptop, right?
Yes.
Especially the new iPhones.
Yep.
And the Cellbrite program, as you stated, breaks everything down, compartmentalizes it so that it's able to more user-friendly to be able to read it, whether it's the cell phone records or the Snapchat or Facebook or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, if it's on the phone, yes.
Okay. And those can't be modified or altered either, right?
No.
Okay, 1 second. 1 second, Gerard. Just one or two brief follow-ups. You analyzed that, excuse me, you pulled it off. You did not analyze any of that cell phone data, right?
No, the extraction in this case was they requested a dump of the phone or download, full download of the phone, and we extracted that data and provided that data for the detectives to review. We have so many cases that we process, we don't have the luxury of analyzing every device. So we download the data, provide that to the lead detective, and they'll go ahead and process it utilizing the Cellbrite reader that was provided to them.
Okay, so you don't have any idea if there's any evidentiary value recovered off of that. All you do is put it onto a disk.
On the cell phone, yes, we extract the data in a forensically sound manner, and we provide that to the lead detective that's processing that case.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
No redirect. Thank you, sir.
Detective, good to see you, sir. Have a good rest of your day.
Have a good day.
Well, that was quick.
Members of the jury, given the hour, that will conclude our work together today.
All right,
A
y'all.
couple
They're
things
gonna
I wanted to
stop
bring
right
to your
here.
attention before we break is, if you recall,
So I guess we'll stop right here. And y'all, we'll be back tomorrow, like we did this morning, because I missed my nap. But we'll get here tomorrow with day 4 and see what's gonna happen. Y'all, thanks for being here today, okay? I got another live on over there with the other live. It's about the police getting ready to lock uh Jonathan up for doing what he did to the little girl. They found the love letter. All right, y'all. I see y'all. It's another live on.